Botching foots gon' be late. We don't know what to say. We gon' be great. This a half the round table. Pow, pow. Yeah, we done the play. Pow, pow. What you doing? What you say? Pow. What you think about? Pow. What you mean? Waiting on Fuster King. Let's get it started. This the Lombardi. It's the party. It's the party. It's the party. Join the party. What? Dang. All right. Now, Brother Brad, they can hear you, so don't get canceled, all right?
Hold on. Let me, I gotta get my mic set up.
Go ahead. I'll just mute you. Go ahead, do your thing. There you go. I hear you. You good. You good.
Is it okay? Cool. It's clean.
You good. You good. You good.
Hold on, real quick.
All right. Chill. First made it. This show gonna be. This day gonna be, life gonna be, we gonna be. This draft gonna be, my chat gonna be, my back gonna be, that.
KDB.
Yeah.
Okay, Foot's gonna unmute himself. All right, cool. Let's get started. Let's where we go to? Strand. There we go. You said you was ready. He said he was ready. First, turn off your green screen button because it got us looking through you.
Let me see. Let me see this thing settings.
I mean, if it's impossible, we ain't gonna worry about it. But look like we see right through you, brother. Fuss, what's good with you, sir?
How you feel, homie?
You sound exhausted, sir. You all right?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm actually really good. I'm just. Oh shoot!
Damn, boy, Fuss done made some bread, boy. Fuss done relocated, man. Come, hey, man. Show us the crib again. That's what the other side of the room look like.
I gotta do that. That was hard.
That's what the other side of the Fuss got a piano in the room. Come on, son.
Yes, sir. Ski. Y'all see it.
Come on, man.
Y'all see it. Y'all hold on. They don't know about this, Voch. Oh,
they don't know nothing about. Hey, look, I was about to call you classy.
Voch, what about?
I was about to call you classy, but hey, so me and you haven't done this yet this year, so we're behind, and I hate how behind we are. But hey, man, better late than never, but never late is better. You know what I mean? So we are going to get into draft talk, like Voch and Foots know we can, and we haven't talked in a while, so we got a lot to catch up on. I need to know who some of your favorite guys are, who some of your pet cats are. If we'd had this conversation about a month or so ago, we probably would have had different answers about a lot of things. But I want to pick your brain, and I know you got questions for me. So let's hop into it, man. 24th overall pick. What you thinking about, Fuster King? Not just for everybody listening right now. This is a draft show for everybody because we're gonna eventually talk about these players with a little bit of depth, but we got to start right here because home team. What else we gonna do, brother Brad? 24th overall. What are you thinking? What are the vibes? What's the move here? You know what I mean? What you thinking about?
First of all, Voch, it has been way overdue. There are a lot of people with a lot of draft takes, but you are the guy that I go to. Been my homie, and when me and Voch get up, it's legendary. I know Voch does the work. He understands scheme, film. He really breaks it down, not even on a surface level. Voch he does this. So anytime he calls, I answer. That being said, Voch, 24th overall, I'm not going to move. I'm not going to talk about – I'm going to talk about what Dallas would do versus what Fuss would do. I'm still going interior lineman.
For sure.
We need to get stronger, Voch. And sure. I'm with you. After the playoff hurt is over, we got all this Cowboy stuff in the background, and it's over for me.
For sure.
I'm now in realistic mode. Okay. And realistically, we're not that far off.
I agree.
We're still not that far off. Like, I know we troll and have fun on a round table, but this is when we get in the team building mode. And for me, it's still, Voch, you know how this goes. People forget about good athletes. They forget about centers. Senior Bowling was one of the cleanest prospects. Fell to 17. Was it 17 that year, Voch?
It was
when we were supposed to draft
16.
Johnny Manziel.
15, 16, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, okay, in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's, to me, not too far from where we're drafting. So if you want to make Penning a guard, I don't know your thoughts on Penning, Voch. I would love to hear him.
I've been watching.
I like him inside because I don't really like his feet, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that. But give me a strong human being that can move people so we could get back to running the ball and keeping the middle of Dax, keeping trash up his face clean.
On the round table, you said you wanted more ass. You got some headphones? Because I can hear me over there. Testing. Oh, yeah, we good.
We good? Okay.
Yeah, we good. During the round table, you said you wanted more ass on the offensive line. I'm with you. You know what I mean? You don't want just the athlete guard anymore. And, we are a zone scheme, but we haven't done a lot of those things in a long time in terms of moving offensive line. Plus, if we need to move offensive linemen, we'll just move the guys that can move. It's not that hard. So we're over the whole Connor Williams thing. Connor Williams is one of my sons, but the one thing I wanted to constantly reiterate to people was none of my sons are above upgrading, which is why I was so big on Rashawn Slater. Connor Williams is my son, but if we can get Rashawn Slater, Connor Williams can go. You know what I mean? So I think, offensive line is super important. And I think nobody wants to draft offensive line because it's not sexy. But when you draft a good one, you don't have to worry about it for a long, long, long time. Kenyon Green is my guy. You know what I mean? Kenyon Green had a weird little combine, but that makes me happy. That makes me ecstatic because that makes me feel like he's gonna fall. Somebody on the social media's tweet machines was all like, "But Voch, he looked bad in shorts, but he looked good in pants for us." That kid look good in pants. Anybody that's 6'4" with fantastic knee bend that can play four positions, that can move guys off the line of scrimmage, and can get the second level, can move a little bit, man, we can get that dude all day, every day for us. That's my pet cat. That's my guy. That's the guy that I wish is there at 24. If he's there and we draft him, I might hump the chair live on the draft feed. This is my thing about Trevor Penning, and it's interesting because I'm at the point to where I'm ready to call him polarizing almost, right? I like what you said, and when I speak highly of Trevor Penning, I speak highly of him as a guard. I think he has a nice base. I think he has relative solid knee bend for what I need my guard to be. He's nasty, he's physical, he's mean. He needs to get stronger, but if he's nasty, physical, and mean with some good size on the inside, I'm fine with that, right? So Trevor Penning as a guard, cool. But what I've been seeing from the pundits, from the Illuminati, from the networks, they got Trevor Penning at tackle, and they don't talk about moving him at guard at all. And like the more I watch these tackles foots, it's like some round 2-3 guys that I think are better than Trevor Penning as a tackle. So I'm glad that we're on the same, like guys like, I've been watching film, so I'm about to name drop the shit out of some of these people. So Abraham Lucas from Washington.
I like him.
I like Abraham Lucas. I like your guy, Rasheed Walker, better than Trevor Penning at tackle. Max Mitchell from ULL. I like him better than Trevor Penning at tackle. You know what I mean? So if I could just, keep Trevor Penning, hey, look, just be physical, fighting the phone booth, wrestle, move guys around, I'm fine with Trevor Penning. But if it's between Trevor Penning and Kenyon Green, guard wise or whatever, I'm taking Kenyon Green. I think he's the better player. He's my guard one. I even think guys like Zion Johnson are better than Trevor Penning. But that's just my thoughts.
Can I ask you a question about you?
Of course, please.
Why do people? So let me. I think you're spot on with Kenyon Green, and I want to say this about the workout, right? Because people got mad at me when I gave Dallas again Linderbaum, even though he didn't work out.
Right.
And I said, there's nothing I'm going to learn about Linderbaum, Johnson, and Shorts.
Yeah.
Now, Chris Olave, I learned some things.
Let's talk about Chris Olave.
I didn't know he was that fast. I learned. I'm going to tell you something. And I don't know where you stood on Burks. I think you've been in your D-line, O-line bag, but a lot of Cowboys fans went too crazy on Burks. And I said, slow down. I like Treylon Burks, but let's just, none of his athletic testing was, dare I say, explosive.
Explosive.
Yeah, like
sure, right.
33 on the vert, 4, 5, 6. Mm-hmm. Just what, but anyway, Green slipping in a drill, I'm going to drop him because of that. Nah. I don't know. Kenyon Green, I saw his tackle reps on film, phenomenal. Saw his guard reps on film. Phenomenal. You talking about a guy who will come around and take you off your feet, can pull, can move you. So I don't need to see him do it in shorts on air when I didn't even agree with some of the drills they were doing anyway. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
For sure. And Kenyon Green's, I think his best game was at left tackle versus Alabama, just my own personal opinion. But
really good film there.
But I'm putting him at left guard, moving on from him. Thing about Olave first, I don't even think we can even talk about him no more. I think there was a possibility at one point he could possibly make it a little bit, but I think it's done. What I really like about Olave is that you watch the film, you can see him move. He's a fantastic route runner. Him and Garrett Wilson are fantastic route runners. But if you're a good route runner and you go out there and run the 4.2 or whatever his official time was, when you can show big speed and show that you're a route runner, goodness, sir. Oh, good. So if we're talking about Henry Ruggs, and Henry Ruggs, the football player, of course, he was that level speed, but he wasn't really that route runner. He wasn't the nuanced wide receiver, the polished football player that we were looking for. Both the Ohio State kids are fantastic, and I don't know what Dallas's wide receiver room is going to look like this year, but if you have an opportunity to draft any of those dudes, you jump on it. Like you jump on it like CD Lamb at 17, jump on it. If any of those dudes make it to 24. So Foots, let me just run this game by you, right? So let's say Kenyon Green or Chris Olave. They're on the board at 24.
Ooh, Voch, you starting early. Foots would draft Kenyon Green. Dallas would draft Chris Olave, and I wouldn't be mad if you tell me that you hit guard in free agency.
For sure.
If you tell me that you hit linebacker in free agency, or you've done something that what Steven is known to do,
sure.
which this regime is known to do. If we're talking strictly Dallas, because I've been a Chris Olave fan, so
For sure.
I just like what both of those guys, Garrett Wilson and Olave, they're just smooth. As you talking about, he's an Amari Cooper clone. He actually catches everything. He can run every route in the route tree. He can play all three receiver positions. He is really Justin Jefferson-esque. Both him and Garrett Wilson are pretty much like splitting hairs.
For sure.
But I would think that I would go Olave, Voch.
Olave's
I would go Olave for Dallas. Foots would go Kenyon Green.
For sure. Olave's the better player, I think, but Kenyon Green is obviously the fit that you need right now. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. Kenyon Green or Linderbaum?
Ooh, I would go Linderbaum.
Damn, I'm taking Kenyon Green. What about?
Ooh, we disagree.
Damn, what about Kenyon?
I love it.
What about Kenyon Green or Nakobe Dean?
I would go because I've seen these backers and how deep this class is at backer. And I do think that we'll talk this and we'll talk.
We're gonna get there. Trust me. I'm setting you up. I'm setting you up, Foots. Go ahead, sir.
Let's go Kenyon Green. Let's go Kenyon Green. And I got a couple reasons.
Damn, I love Nakobe Dean. But and one more. Kenyon Green or Jordan Davis, if Jordan Davis by the grace of God make it to 24.
If Jordan Davis makes it to 24, this fan base will not let Jerry Jones not draft Jordan Davis.
For sure.
He's not making it 24 though.
Understood.
He won't make it out the top 15.
Understood. And chat, y'all can answer any of these questions also.
Good questions, by the way.
And I'm saying this to say this, Foots, and you can comment on this. I was saying on the Twitter machines a little bit ago, this is the first draft I've ever seen that I would rather have the winning team picks than the top 10 picks. You know what I mean? If you're in that top 10, they're going to kind of force you to draft a guy. You know, you're going to be pressured into drafting whoever kind of falls into that position. I think 1 through 8 is going to be like that. But you can draft somebody at number 9, and that same player can go number 17. Like, that's the level of disparity here, right? And I don't want to be forced to make a player. I want the board to be open and for me to take whoever I want. You can't take Linderbaum at 8th overall. You shouldn't take Jordan Davis 8th overall. You shouldn't take Nakobe Dean 8th overall. But you can take any of those dudes at 24. That's what I like about this draft in particular. Let's get into depth a little bit. Have you been watching offensive line?
I have. I know I'm not as far as you, but I will say this. I've gotten really deep on the guards. Good. And back to your draft question before we go, Voch. Your draft point. I think that early on, this was a non-talented draft. Yes. The combine changed all that.
For sure.
This is a really talented draft, and I think that the sweet spot is middle of the first to the 4th round. Yeah. That's the sweet spot. That's where you have to win.
For sure.
Yep.
For sure, 100%. So I was about to get into this point, right? We're talking about Kenyon Green versus these players. And the one thing that makes me sick, like right here, Foots in my rib that's bubbling up, is if we don't get Kenyon Green to get any of those other players that I named, but we end up taking a guard later on in this draft, I still be happy, Foots, because there's some guards in this draft, Foots.
There's some guards in this draft.
It's some dudes, and they can play, Foots. It's some dudes that can play, like Tyler Smith from Tulsa, left tackle, but he's probably gonna be a guard. Put his ass at guard, Foots, and we gonna be fine. Ed Ingram, LSU, Foots, that dude can start right now. that dude can start at guard right now. Darian Kennard was a little bit, you know what I mean? He started off high, but he ended up low because of his tackle film. He just didn't have good tackle film. But if he's a guy that you end up with in the second or third round or whatever, you would be happy with that kind of guy, with that level of guy. You know what I mean? There are so many guards in this draft that I feel.
What do you think about Max Mitchell? Oh, that's the tackle. I'm sorry.
Max Mitchell tackle, shit, for sure. But hey, shit, if you want Max to come in and play guard, shit, let's boogie for sure. Line his ass up. You know what I mean? It's a lot of guards I feel like can play, and it's a lot of tackles that I feel like can play can end up playing guard. You know what I mean? So if you don't get a guard in the first round, whether it be Kenyon Green or Zion Johnson, whoever you feel, there are plenty of them later on. So that opens up the board. Every position that we're talking about getting now, guard, linebacker, wide receiver, is plenty of them later on. So we can mix and match however you want to.
Yeah. I think I fell into a Cam Jurgens, the center from Nebraska. I fell into a rabbit hole of his film. Mm-hmm. I actually was like, okay, I said, let me start looking at some of these other centers outside of the top, out of the top 2 rounds to see, okay, how can I possibly make some other things work? And I wasn't down on his tape. I really like Ed Ingram, Voch. Sure. But is he a second? So, because you've really been on these guys, is there any chance I'm getting him in the 3rd round?
I think he's a character guy, you know what I mean. So yeah. I think he's a guy that's probably gonna go a little bit later for you, nine times out of 10, most likely. And I love him as a player. I saw him in the Senior Bowl, and the thing about the Senior Bowl is all the offensive linemen was trash in the Senior Bowl. So if you were a little bit of good, you kind of stand out. So my guy from Chattanooga, Cole Strange, he looked solid. He looked solid in the Senior Bowl. Zion looked solid in the Senior Bowl. Ed Ingram was another guy that looked really solid in the Senior Bowl. So I'll take that guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now where does he fall? I don't know. But it's guys. It's many guys that you can fit in there.
Yeah, totally. I know one of my Senior Bowl pet cats at tackle was Waletzko. Just an athletic tackle, can move his feet. Wasn't the strongest guy, but his arms were so long that D lineman couldn't get in his body. So I liked him a lot. But I just don't get the feeling that Dallas is in the market for a tackle. I could be wrong, but I really think they're honing in at interior lineman. Voch, am I wrong there?
I mean, you're right, but I don't oppose the idea of us looking at tackle. I was watching film first, and like I was saying, I'm looking at Max Mitchell, man. I'm looking at Kellen Dyche from Arizona State. Solid player. Abraham Lucas, if you get him late. Jamari Salyer from Georgia, good player. I watched the fucking Ohio State kid. Why are we not talking about the Ohio State kid, Foots? Friere. He got 3 names. Petit Friere. I don't even know his first name, but had some fantastic reps versus Karlaftis. What you think about Karlaftis, Foots?
Ooh, I like Karlaftis. The thing about Karlaftis is going to be, what do you think about him in his sack game, and can he? Because I think George Karlaftis can play. The issue is the hands are going to be good. He's going to be great against the run, but is he a 2-down player for you, Voch? And because
I think he can get sacks in the league. I think what happened a lot with Karlaftis, I think he was schemed for. I think teams got rid of the ball quickly. I think if you fit Karlaftis into a situation like ours where there's other pass rushers on the team, I think Karlaftis can bust a lot of ass in the league. He got 4.5 sacks, this last year, but he had like 7.5 his 2019 tape or whatever. I think he got hurt in 2020 or something like that. But he got sack production, but it's just that when they got on to him, that's when it kind of dwindled down. But even then, he still got hits and pressure. So you can give me Karlaftis.
Pressures matter.
I would rather have the edge guy that wins a rep with technique and skill and nuance that doesn't get the sack but gets a hit or like a pressure or something than the dude that runs free and gets a sack on the quarterback because he ran free or something. You know what I mean? I would much rather the former.
Well,
wrap.
we might as well get into it, Vi, since you transitioned kind of D lineman.
For sure.
What are your thoughts on Jermaine Johnson? He had a really good combine.
Mhm.
He moved around in space well. Have you come around? I know some people were kind of wanted your thoughts on Twitter.
J Tuck.
And
J Tuck.
yeah, we call him out J Tuck. He's good. He's a good dude.
Good dude. Go check him out. Go sub to him.
Yeah. J Tuck is cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
And Cowboys fan talk, they're cool. They've been on him, and that's all well and good. So I wanted to know your thoughts because I will say that I told him, hey, I do like Jermaine Johnson. He's done the most to improve his stock. I'm hearing there's no way he gets out of the top 15.
Sure.
But for this team or just in general, what do you think about him, Voch?
This is my thing about my Jermaine Johnson take, right? Just because I won't take a player where everybody else is taking him doesn't mean I think he's trash. Also, just because you're not a top 15 pick doesn't mean that you're trash. You understand? So when we talk about, taking Jermaine Johnson at probably one of those Eagles picks, right? That's way too high for me, Foots. That's way too high for me. When I watch film on Jermaine, he's a sometimes guy. And everybody that try to convince me that, to change my mind or whatever, they can at least agree, yeah, he disappears on film sometimes. Yeah, he gets caught slipping. Yeah, he not the most bendy guy, but XYZ. They all can admit that. But we'll still put him top 15 for the hype of him, right? And I'm all for a player getting drafted for hype. I hope he make a lot of money and buy his mama a house, to be fair. But
fair.
If I'm watching a film of him and I say, oh yeah, I see him as a day 2 guy. He's a project. I see him as a projected type of player. If you fix X, Y, and Z thing about him, he'll be a really good player for you. I think he's a good player now, but he'll be really good if he fix X, Y, and Z. But those X, Y, Z's are, hey, those hands that we talk about with Karlaftis, I don't really see him from Jermaine Johnson. I see Jermaine Johnson kind of run down the middle of people sometimes. I see him, winning with just skill. When he was at the Senior Bowl, he was smoking these tackles that weren't playing very well. You know what I mean? I want to see him, put it all together. When we saw Jermaine versus some better talent than the bad guys that he went up against, it was looking a little different for him. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying Jermaine's a bad player. I think he's a good player. I'm not feeding into he smoked everybody at the Senior Bowl. Let's move him up around. Oh, he's smoking the combine. Let's move him up around. Because I still need your tape to do the majority of the work. You see what I'm saying? So I like Jermaine. If we took him at 24, I'd feel away because I feel like there are better players on the board than him. But, hey, anybody can like who they like. That's y'all business if y'all do the work,
Oh, I'll tell you this, Voch.
For sure.
A guy that I like versus I think that Ajobo will have a better career than Aiden Hutchinson. And it's not because that he's a better player right now. It's because development doesn't stop when you get into the league.
For sure.
And so his tools, and from what I've seen,
for sure,
his bend. You talk about bend. You said bendy guy. Oh, he could scrape he could scrape the ground, man.
For sure.
And Ajobo he's twitched up, and I just believe that when he goes to a team, because he's going to be in the back half of the draft, so he's going to go to a team where there's no pressure,
right,
for him to be great.
David Ajabo?
Yeah.
Well, he could go top 10 though. For like that's a possibility that he could go. Just like we talking about Karlaftis could go 24, he could go top 10 also. That's how polarizing this thing is.
That's a fair point, Voch.
For sure.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, with the Ajabo is like, I think that his career arc could be better because, number one, he has I won't say better tools, but for the love of me, I like Aiden Hutchinson. I do.
For sure.
I don't see Nick or Joey Bosa. Okay. I don't. And I just don't remember and don't believe in this try-hard rusher is number 1 pick in the draft material.
But
now, I could be wrong.
For somebody to hear you say that, and they'll just automatically just equate that to Foot said that Aiden Hutchinson is bad. You know what I mean? They'll automatically turn that into that. When that's not the case, that ain't what you're saying. You just saying you like the other guys better than him. But boy, you know how social media get foots.
And you know what? I'll be that guy because guess what, Voch?
Mhm.
I've been doing this for a long time. As of you, we've seen it, and I'll tell you this: you can say whatever you want about Kayvon Thibodeau
sure.
and the loaf plays, and don't you love how every year a black athlete gets labeled as a loaf and this, that, and the third.
He be loafing though for he be loafing.
He has a few reps, but man, when it's good,
yeah,
it's good. And the problem is this: the same thing that Stingley basically had a freshman year that was outstanding.
for sure.
I mean, if you would have said Derek Stingley was Deion Sanders after his freshman year,
for sure,
and he knows he's going to get drafted, the team around him stinks, and the coaching staff is in flux because they lost Ed Orgeron. Everything's going on at LSU, and Stingley's like, yeah, he should play hard, but if you're going to the pros, should he have done what Micah did? Probably.
Sure.
Looks smarter now. Should he have done what Jamar Chase did? Probably. Sure. It looks smarter now. And I just say that to say, like, even Thibodeau, same type of situation. Like, he's playing knowing he's going to be a pro.
For sure.
These guys only have so many years to be great. I just don't understand this. Thibodeau can't play. He's going to fall. Let him fall right to Dallas. I would take Kayvon Thibodeau in a heartbeat. Now, I'm not saying he will. He won't. But I also don't think that Aiden Hutchinson has more. Aiden Hutchinson had one good year. And now he's not Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa I thought that Nick Bosa was better than Chase Young. I did. I mean, the bull rush, the hands, the being coached by Larry Johnson. Like, come on, man. We really do this draft stuff. Aiden Hutchinson is really good. I don't think that he's a number one prospect. No. I would draft one of these tackles. I would draft Charles Cross before I would draft Aiden Hutchinson and call it a day.
Okay. April is in my chat box. She says, I want whoever Foots wants. He's my draft guru. I'm a little jealous. What about these linebackers, Foots? What you got on that? You've been grinding linebackers since day one. I've just recently picked them up a little bit. I've gotten into some of the names that people say I should be watching. So I'm relatively familiar enough to have this conversation with you. So I'll let you lead it off. Do you think Cowboys should be looking linebacker? And what are some of these guys that we should be looking for?
So it's going to be interesting now because after the combine, I have been grinding linebackers and it's a good group, Voch. Oh man, it's good. And I'm going to tell you, Dallas isn't pigeonholed to drafting one in the first round, but
for sure,
here's the truth. After Devin Lloyd's combine, he could fall.
For sure.
He could fall to you at 24 and Dallas would have to make a decision. N'Kobe Dean didn't help himself by not working out, Voch.
Good. I'll take him.
Yeah.
Let him fall.
If he fell, you draft him. There's a guy that just got released by Seattle who, if you pick him up, but this isn't free agency talk. So
you know better than that.
This is
Brother Brad, you know better than that, sir. You know better than that. So we look, hey, look, this only draft. We ain't even considering BW.
We ain't get up started, Vacho.
Yeah, we're not considering BW. Yeah.
I mean, dog, you look at Quay Walker, Christian Harris, Damon Clark. I don't even know how to properly pronounce his name. I thought Chanel. I was high on Leo Chanel, but his hips are really tight when I saw him work out. He has a bunch of tackle for loss, but he's a very straight line player. Now, the one who I've really been high on is Troy Anderson, and all he does is go to the combine and run 4.41. He jumps higher than half the receivers. I think he jumped like 38 on the vert. He's the one, and then his Senior Bowl was really good. Sideline to sideline athlete. He hasn't even been playing linebacker that long, but if you ask him to do a couple just certain things, I think that Anderson could be that second round guy that you kind of look at it and say, man. So I mean, linebacking wise, you have option. I think Christian Harris ran a 4.4 flat.
Yeah,
like there are some great athletes at the linebacker position, and for what Dan Quinn wants to do, I think we will be in good shape, Voch. I do.
Quay Walker's my linebacker too. Number 2. Honestly.
You're not wrong.
Dean is my first. I'm still kind of figuring out where to put Lloyd because I'm just constantly watching guys or whatever. But Lloyd plays linebacker like a safety. You understand? And that kind of, could turn
That's
you
a
off.
really good.
It's
Joker-esque.
especially if you watching linebackers together, you see Quay Walker be a missile, and you see Nakobe Dean, his processing is perfect, and he gets to the ball quickly. And then you'll go and watch, Devin Lloyd, and you'll be wanting more. There would be there would be more things that you want from Devin Lloyd. And Devin Lloyd was projected to be like a top 10 guy at some point. And half of draft analysis is your analysis versus where these guys are projected. And if Devin Lloyd was talking about being a top 10 guy, I hate it. I can't stand it. I think if Devin Lloyd makes it to 24, I think there would be better players on the board than him. I kind of hope he gets taken before us, so we ain't got to even have that conversation about it. You know what I mean?
Well, no. Let me push back on that a little bit.
For sure.
Lloyd, right?
For sure.
He ran a 4.7, wasn't great.
Sure.
But I do think that with Dan Quinn, it makes sense.
So Foots, let's play a game. Devin Lloyd or Jordan Davis?
Oh no, Jordan Davis. I mean,
Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean?
That's where. See, with Dean is a very forward player. I think that Lloyd does some good things in coverage.
First, you better quit it. First, you better stop. You better cut this out before we end up
both
screaming.
sides of the fence.
Devin Lloyd or Linderbaum?
Oh, Linderbaum.
Devin Lloyd, Kenyon Green.
Kenyon Green's not close.
That's where we going with this, brother. Fuzz. You understand where I'm going? You see where I'm going? So it's not that I'm hating Devin Lloyd. It's just that if I have these guys on the board, it's a lot of dudes I'm taking over Devin Lloyd. That don't mean he suck. I just see him being drafted in the 30 somewhere, opposed to where we're at. Because I just think we're going to have some gangsters where we at, Fuzz. That's just how I feel.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, like I said, if you can listen, even Troy Anderson, dog, he was a former running back. This guy is a freak athlete. If Voch is playing. Like, let's say they go receiver, linebacker, then guard. I'm not mad if you get the right names.
For sure.
Right?
I'd be relatively upset because I would want to go guard before linebacker because I like what you said. We're not pigeonholed into drafting linebacker because Jabril Cox exists. And I think that's a fun exercise for everybody to do, to just go down this list and figure out if any of these dudes would be better than Jabril. A lot of them won't be. But I think you'll have a handful of guys that you'll be like, okay, cool. He'll either fit in with Jabril or he's better. Everybody else, Jabril's smoking them, in my personal opinion. So if we don't draft a linebacker, fine. We just roll with Micah and Jabril and we move on with our life, or at least draft linebacker high. Let's talk about Troy Anderson a little bit because I'm kind of conflicted on him, but you love him to pieces. I watch his film, right? And, of course, we're going to have the Montana State and the teams that we play against issue, right? But I'm not going to put too much into that because you still got to run. You still got to tackle. He's proven that he's athletic. He's proven that he can bring people to the ground when he gets there. I just think sometimes Montana State put too much on his plate, and that made him feel a little weird. Like, if you watch one game of Montana State, he's playing will linebacker. You watch another one, he's playing like nickel corner or something. You know what I mean? You watch another one, like he's the best athlete on that team. So they try to make him do a little bit of everything. So that kind of gets a little weird to almost to a point to where when they finally put him at linebacker, some of those reps look kind of weird. So I think if you're going to draft Troy Anderson, you have to have a plan for him. You know what I mean? You have to kind of treat him as a guy to where, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and take that away from him. But let me ask you this, Foots, since we're on this streak of asking good questions. If you have Jabril Cox on your team already, is drafting Troy Anderson a redundancy?
I would say no, because you're probably going to move on from Leighton Vander Esch.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say no. I like the point that you brought up about what Montana State asked him to do, because I felt the same way. Like, he just wasn't coached up.
For sure.
I feel like he just go do whatever you want to do.
But I really want you to think about this question, all right? I don't want us to consider Van Der Esch being there because we can always just put somebody where Van Der Esch was, like Jabril Cox. I really want you to think about this, Foots, because you don't want to draft redundancies. You don't want to draft players like you have already. I think we have a Troy Anderson type player already, not as fast or, whatever. But I think Jabril Cox is that guy because Jabril Cox at LSU and North Dakota State, he was that sometimes safety. He was that I'm going to go and cover Werdemeyer and mess up his draft stock. You know what I mean? He was that guy. So I can see Troy Anderson being a guy that's used in that same kind of way. So do you think we should draft Troy Anderson because we have a guy like him in Jabril Cox? If I was to draft a linebacker, I would draft a guy that's not like Jabril, like Channing Tindall or something like that. He's the opposite of Jabril. He's a downhill Sam linebacker type guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Quay, how do you feel Quay is one of those guys as well?
Quay's a missile.
Walker.
Quay's a missile that can do everything. He's my linebacker too. So I'm not gonna put Quay in a box or anything. Quay can play whatever you ask Quay to play.
Yeah. Tyndall's a good name, Voch. I'll tell you this. If you
Tyndall's more of a fourth round guy for me though, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
So all right, this is why I love talking with Voch because we get to some rabbit holes. What about because if Jabril's gonna allow you this, and he is, him and Troy are the same guys, sideline to sideline. If you want another missile on your team,
sure.
Do any of these safeties do anything for you that could play around the box and play on the roof some as well because of what Dan is going to do and because it sounds like we're going to bring J-Ron Kurtz back? Because one of my safeties, and I'm a safety guy.
For sure.
I was way too low on Lewis Singh.
Okay.
He absolutely destroyed the combine.
For sure.
And the same way, what he did to the combine is what he does on film.
For sure.
Comes downhill and knocks you out.
For sure.
The coverage isn't bad. And you're going to lose what's our guy, Voch?
Malik,
free agent. You're gonna lose
Malik Hooker,
DeMonte.
KZ,
So,
KZ can go. KZ can go.
Yeah, KZ can go.
KZ can go.
You can't lose Hooker and KZ.
No.
So does Lewis Singh? Because I think Lewis Singh is now between Lewis Singh and J-Ron and Jabril. Maybe you don't need a backer. Maybe you go guard safety or receiver guard safety. You know what I mean? If you have these guys who are physical, because Singh will help your defense in the same way that one of these linebackers will, especially because Singh has played big time football. And he's going to be there in the second round, maybe the third.
My only problem is
he won't be there in the third.
And my only problem is where you would have to take these guys. I think it's going to be better players on the board than them. So if we're talking about that kind of safety, we're talking about three guys. We're talking about Singh, Brisker, and Petrie. Those are the guys we're talking about.
Yes.
Or Hill. Dax Hill.
Dax in the back of the first round, I think, but you might be right.
For sure. But those are the four guys that we're really talking about. If we're not talking about those guys, I'm not trying to talk about safety. But what you got to ask yourself, man, what if one of these, like, I ain't gonna say pass rush because I don't even think, but like, what if an offensive tackle that you really like is there? What if a guard is there that you really like? Or maybe one of these wide receivers or something like that, right? Maybe one of them dudes are gonna be there. Considering if you didn't take wide receiver in the first round or something like that. That's what I think my big problem is going to be with safety, that the other players are going to be more attractive. What's my guy from UConn, the D tackle?
Oh, Travis Jones.
What if he's there and like it's him versus Singh? I'm taking the one tech because in the second round.
You take Travis Jones without a doubt.
I think you just got to take the one tech there. You know what I mean? Or you got to take the receipt. Like if who
will help Micah, by the way? Who helps your linebackers, by the way?
For sure. What if it's Mechie versus Lewis Singh? What do you do then?
Ooh, you talking good, Voch. We're gonna have some good times with this, man.
100%.
Mechie, I'm gonna be honest with you. Mechie has first round ability
for sure,
and literally him and so JMO will probably go first round
for sure.
Mechie though, man,
anywhere 2 and 3, anywhere we don't know.
Yeah, and if not for the injury, he'd be a 1
for sure.
So that's interesting. to say the least, because I think he's better than some of these ones.
Yeah.
Like I don't agree with the receiver rankings, the consensus, but that's for another. Like I have Garrett Wilson 1, and it's not close for me.
For sure.
I know people like Drake London. I know people, but Garrett Wilson is my guy. I like both Ohio State receivers better than a lot of other people.
I agree.
I'm not really big on Traylon Burks because I think that he was so good because Arkansas had nothing else. But I just think that, and he had some big games against some big competition. But I just don't. I see Laquan Treadwell, and I made that mistake. And the problem is these corners are so good in the league that you just can't do that week in and week out. There has to be nuance to your game. I like Burks, but I'm just saying.
So, Fuzz, let me offer you this, right? You just compared him to Treadwell. I think it depends on where he goes and his usage. What if I could tell you that there's an offense coordinator that'll use him like Cordero Patterson instead of, just trying to make him like a full-time receiver, right? What if there's somebody that has enough creativity to incorporate him in different places like the wing, the running back position, jet motion guy, than he does wide receiver things? Does that make you like Traylon Burks a little more?
Yeah. I think, see, I remember Laviska Shenault had the
Chenault's a perfect example of that. He was one of those guys too, for sure. Go ahead.
There it is, and I think that no, he was. I think he was one of those guys. But you have to have a distinct plan. What happens is teams get these guys in the building, and they're just like, hey, just go run the whole route tree, and it's like, no, it's not what he does. So you need to have a distinct plan. If you have that, you're good to go.
Troy Dudley in the chat box says, Voch, where's your knife? There's always a knife close by. Always a knife close by. If it's not this one, there's another one somewhere. Damascus steel on y'all ass. You know what I mean? Fantastic conversation with Voch and Fuster King here. If y'all want to check out Fuster King, Cowboy Nation TV. Cowboy Nation TV still, right? Isn't that,
yes, sir.
You haven't changed it to Fuster King yet? It's still
Soon, Voch. I gotta get it. I'm so lazy.
Okay, my guy. I'm gonna leave you. I ain't saying nothing else. So we talked about linebackers. We talked about D linemen. Have we wrapped up D linemen? Okay, so let's do this. I watched a lot of edge guys, right?
Right.
Plenty of them. I feel like if we don't get one of my favorite ones in the first round, like Karlaftis. If we don't get Karlaftis, I don't think we should be drafting defensive end at all. You know what I mean? There just aren't many guys that move me in that way. Like, do you have a guy that you like in this class? Any edge guys or like anything like that?
I like the Minnesota edge.
Boye Mafe.
But I just don't know where he fits with us.
For sure.
Edge is very top heavy for me.
For sure.
And then it kind of tapers off. So I think we're on the same page there, Voch. For sure. I like Cam Thomas from San Diego State.
So look, I'm watching film on him, and I'm like, boy, he'll be a fantastic 3 tech. Or like sometimes, you know what I mean? But like they like to put him over the center and shit. You know what I mean? They like to do a lot of weird stuff with Cam Thomas. But like put that dude in B gap, let him be defensive end, and like let that dude be good. He's not good in A gap where they have him at. You know what I mean? It's like they never put him where he's good at.
Yeah, he's not. And the problem is we already have that on this roster. So to your point, Voch, it's not DN isn't it. There's been drafts before where it's just really deep at DN. It's top heavy, but after the second round, it really tapers off. So I'm with you. If you want a DN, you need to get him in the first 2 rounds to come in and give you something. Yeah. Other than that, they're going to be guys that you already have.
Let me ask you a quick question that I'm going to tap into these super chats. They have some questions for us. And then we're just going to do a short little Q&A that we're going to let Fuzz go to bed.
I got to get my rest, Voch. But I will stay up for you because you my dog. And
blessed.
You know your stuff.
I'm blessed to have you, sir. Trevon Walker is a hard player to figure out, man. Trevon Walker from Georgia, defensive end, sometimes 3 tech. They play him on that line.
I've seen him play off-ball linebacker.
They put him everywhere. He's 207.
Is Georgia real quick, Voch? Is Georgia defense the best defense we've ever seen
in college football?
It's up there.
I think Miami got a team that's like. But like that's it though. Like it's them, maybe one of them USC teams, like one of the ones that had Cushing and Maluga and Clay Matthews and like Taylor Mays, that squad. You know what I mean?
That was a good defense.
But it ain't. But still, even me saying that, everybody on this defense probably get drafted. Like everybody. You know what I'm saying? So it's up there. It's up there. But Travon Walker, what do you think about him, man? Because I really don't have him figured out. I even went back to go watch film on him again, and Dane Brugler can't stop talking about him. Can't stop talking about the kid. And I just keep watching him, man, and I don't know, Fuzz. What you got on him?
So if you watch the Michigan tape, I mean, you draft him at 24, no problem.
For sure.
I just think that team has so many headliners on it. Like, dog, we got to remember Jermaine Johnson was on that team and couldn't get on the field.
For sure. For sure.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
You know what? That's a fantastic point, too, Foots. Okay, so look, at what point, right, when we're evaluating these Georgia guys, do you take points away from the corners, from the Georgia corners and safeties because the pass rush was good? Do you take points away from the linebackers because of the 2D tackles that was there? Do you take away from Travon Walker because Jordan Davis was an anchor that let him get one-on-one blocks? Like how do you because Dean and Walker, those guys run free a lot. You know what I mean? So how do you grade?
I'm not taking nothing away from these three players
for sure.
Jordan Davis,
Dean,
right, or Walker. Those three are worth their weight in gold.
For sure.
I'm not taking nothing away from Seam because he got what you can't coach. Everybody else,
for sure.
I see what you're saying. Like Booth. No, Booth is at, Andrew Booth is at Clemson.
Clemson.
But the point is, but I'll say this. The fact that Jermaine Johnson couldn't get on the field over those guys, and you got to think, Azeez Ojulari was there last year. He came in and had a great rookie year.
For sure.
So it's interesting, Voch, to say the least.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's answer a few questions. Hold on, I got that right. That cool. Let's answer a few questions, and then we're going to get you up out of here. Drew the Gruner, drop 5 super chat, says, respect to Jordan Davis, but I like Travis Johnson's workout better.
He must be talking about
Jones. He looked smoother in drills. Hey, Foots, how about Smoke Monday? How do you feel about Smoke Monday? I saw a player called Smoke Monday, but I didn't watch him. I think he's a safety or something like that, I believe. But
I have no idea who that player is, guys. I'm sorry.
I saw him.
I'm normally very prepared.
For sure.
But to Jones's point, let's talk about Jones real quick.
For sure. UConn player. Got some pretty good Clemson film. Him and Jordan Davis is the conversation. He really good play.
Game was good.
He
listen.
For sure.
Voch, do you think this team just needs a guy that can just eat up double teams?
For sure, 100%. I think that'll make everybody's job better. I think that'll make Galmore, Osa, Mike, I think that'll make everybody's job, much better. I think the only difference is like when you're drafting one Tex, and this is why it's not a premium position, the only thing that separates them from another is just how good they play, like what level that they play, right? So Travis Jones may be athletically similar to Jordan Davis, but I don't think the film close. You know what I mean? Travis Jones got some good film. Jordan Davis got some phenomenal film. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's just where I think is a little different at. But Travis Jones is probably a player that you take in a second if he's there at 56. But I think Jordan Davis probably be gone before 24. But if he's there at 24, I'm running to the podium. But go ahead, Travis Jones.
I think you hit it on the head, man. It's cool to see that we kind of feel the same about a lot of these prospects. I think Jones really came on board, Voch. Your Senior Bowl coverage was excellent, man. I just want you to know I was tapped in when they were doing the one-on-ones and the whole nine and just seeing how you covered it. And that's what he came on the scene at. Like, he was unblockable. And I do think that as the league, I've watched a lot of film, right, Voch? And I've watched a lot of people talk. And I think what's happening now is if you can get guys that can just push the pocket and disrupt the pocket, that's almost as good as a sack. Because these DBs on the back end are so good and so athletic that if you can get these quarterbacks off their spot, because most quarterbacks do well with the edge, with edge pressure.
For sure.
They can avoid it. They can spin out. They feel it. You ain't going nowhere when the pocket's pushed, homie.
Yeah.
You either got to run, your eyes drop as a cue. And so I think he's one of those guys that will consistently do that. Is he Jordan Davis? Absolutely not.
For sure.
He's not going to chase like Jordan Davis. I know people will say his workout was better. That's fine, but no, I don't think he's the same. He's better. No.
For sure, for sure. Lavish D dropped the deuce of super chat says, which one? Olave and Ingram or Green and Pickens? It's talking about
Ooh, that's a good one.
first round, second round. Tell me that. I haven't seen Pickens. Who is Pickens? Pickens from
That's the receiver from Georgia. Like I'm saying, Georgia's crazy.
Haven't seen him.
And I would go Olave and who's his options again?
Ed Ingram in the second round.
I would go Olave and Ingram.
Can't beat down. Can't beat down because you get the guard that you want, and you get a monster at receiver.
Ingram's a French first rounder, guys.
I think he's a first round talent. You know what I mean? I just for whatever reason
his film is an SEC guy. His film's not far off from Kenyon Green. It's just Green, I would say, is a little bit stronger at the point, but it's not far off.
Yeah, and Green, he's a lot more flexible, and he plays 4 positions really well. So that's another problem. Appreciate you, Lavish D. The 94.
That's some good questions. I love draft community, by the way, Voch, and I love your chat box. It's just a different community.
The best chat in the world, man. We're informed. We also love to listen, man. Voch loves to listen. We love to learn over here, man. The 94s, Haley, Ware, Gregory. Dane Brugler had the Cowboys taking Burks for that. In his latest mock, he said Burks got up to 240 in the offseason. Part of his training was dedicated to reducing his weight, maybe part of the problem. Yeah, Fuss ain't feeling that. Burks at 24, what you think?
No. Doesn't make sense. You have that player in CeeDee Lamb. It just doesn't make sense. Dallas has to be very selective. Like, I know we say best player available. That's not the truth. I mean, you got to be very selective and exact. This team, when we first came on, we said we're not far away.
For sure.
And we aren't.
No.
And the truth of the matter is this. You can't bring on a Burks who is, kind of a right now player. Well, that's CeeDee Lamb's job, and that's with Amari Cooper possibly leaving. That's what's you need to cater this offense to Sador. What's his real name, Voch? Your guy, Sedarius Lamb. You need to cater it, and I think the Dallas will. Mm-hmm. And Treylon Burks you need Chris Olave. You put him in, you give him a playbook, and he's ready to go. He doesn't need to develop as far as the route running and all that. He's pro ready right now.
For sure.
Garrett Wilson's the same way. Treylon Burks to me is not. Now I'll stand up and be wrong if I'm wrong, but I just no.
You know what Garrett Wilson is. Before I move on to these last 2 questions, you know what Cooper Kupp developed into? Garrett Wilson is that right now. You know what I'm saying? In terms of a space finding, smooth route running dude. Oh my word! But I think his upside's a lot higher. You know what I mean? Like both these Ohio State do so good, man. I got a lot more work to do on wide receiver as a whole. I'm gonna be doing that pretty soon. I got to wrap up them and like running backs and shit like that. But we
gotta do this again, Voch. This was dope.
Of course, we ain't doing nothing else. Corey Durian just dropped 5 says, "What's up, Voch? What's your favorite 2 options by position for 1, 2, and 3? For rounds 1, 2, and 3? D tackle, guard, receiver, something along those lines, or like." Guard, receiver, linebacker, or something. You know what I mean? Something along those lines. Fuss, you agree? I just saw you just nod your head, so we on the same page with that?
Yeah, I think you got to look linebacker if you don't hit in free agency. Guard is at the top of my list. Interior lineman, so guard or center.
Yeah.
DN possibly, depending on what happened. But you still have Randy Gregory, and you still have some guys you developed well. Dorrance is still in the book, so you're not. I don't want people to panic at DN. Like, you played a lot of games without DeMarcus Lawrence and you were fine. You need to get this O-line better.
Yeah. I think I think you give yourself the luxury of first round, you can definitely take best player available, whoever that is. Whether it could be Dean, Davis, Green, whatever, Linderbaum, whatever. But then you really got to clean up those spots when you get into rounds 2 through 4. But I believe my team will do that. Last one for the night. We them boys drop 5 says Jermaine Johnson at 24 is not the worst thing in the world, Voch. I just think there will be players that I like more on the board at 24 than Jermaine Johnson. And that ain't me hating Jermaine Johnson.
Voch isn't wrong.
That ain't me hating Jermaine Johnson. I just think that some of those names I just named, we can say Olave, Jameson Williams, Jordan Davis, Linderbaum, Kenyon Green, Devontae Wyatt if he's there. I'll take him. Nakobe Dean. I'll take all those players over Jermaine Johnson. But that's not to say that Jermaine Johnson is bad. I just think highly of those players.
I think the problem too is scheme fit. I don't know if he fits in a true 4-3 like Dan Quinn Warren's cover three, his whole deal. I think that, and he could switch the fronts up, but you have that player in Micah, and you're not gonna take Micah off the field. Jermaine Johnson needs to be in a 3-4, if you're asking me,
Yeah,
outside,
yeah.
and then at times put his hands in the dirt, but because he showed that he has that ability, but he's no Micah Parsons. We have to remember that we have a top 5 player on the defensive side of the ball and on in the league. So you need to draft selectively and get a player in here who helps him.
Yeah, Fuzz, I love what you said. We got a top 5 player, not a top 5 linebacker, not a top 5 rookie, not a top 5 defensive. He's a top 5 player in the league. I love what you just said, Fuzz. That's amazing. With that being said, chat box, can we get flames and applauses in the chat box for Brother Brad coming on our show, man? Fuzz the King. Whenever me and you get together, man, it's always magical. And we can't always do this on the round table. I be having to stop you sometimes because this is our bag. This is me and your bag. But I'm like, Fuzz, we can't go too deep on the round table. You know what I mean? But when it's me and you doing this, man, we gets busy, Brother Foots.
I'm tweeting you now, Voch. Everybody go to Voch's Twitter and retweet this. Legendary vibes tonight, Voch Lombardi. This was good stuff for like our first time talking draft all season. This will definitely be this will be one that's replayed a lot.
For sure.
We hit a lot tonight.
For sure, 100%. Plenty of information. And there's a lot more that we have to uncover. We got a lot more film to watch. We got a long time until the last week in April, but by the time we get to the last week in April, we'll be well equipped to give y'all some fantastic content. First, please plug your stuff, music and YouTube and all. Let us know.
Yeah, man. I actually am working on some music in the cut, guys. So that'll be on my page, Foots and Coles. Obviously, you guys know Cowboys Nation TV. Foots the King on Twitter. Me and Voch, we fight off a lot of haters.
For sure.
I'm honored that Voch follows me because he doesn't follow a lot of people because he doesn't want to see a lot of foolishness. And guess what? Voch is my guy, and I feel him because it's a lot of foolishness amongst the nation.
Yeah.
But one thing about it, if you're going to come, make sure you do the homework.
For sure.
That's one thing that me and this brother do. We've been doing this for a while now.
For sure.
And I don't trust anybody more.
For sure.
So this is my guy.
Appreciate you, brother. There are 350 people watching right now. If y'all like mock drafts, I don't do them a bunch. I do like one a year, and I like just react to others. I've reacted to some of Foots's. If y'all like mock drafts, then check out Foots, Cowboy Nation TV. He does one like every 3 weeks or something like that, every 2 weeks.
Yeah. I try to spray some out. I'm starting my rankings coming up. I lead a film to you, Voch. You do a great job with the all 22. I just do my rankings and just, my hitters and then just go from there.
For sure. And if y'all want to see some more film, y'all follow me on Patreon as well, patreon.com/vochlombardi. Go over there, see some all 22. All right. Sully dropped the deuce super chat. Dean Jones or Davison Muma. I don't know. Dean Jones. Appreciate you, Sully. Dropping deuce in that super chat. Moma's not a second round pick to me. All right, but we'll talk about that next time. We'll get into some third, fourth round players next time. Maybe we'll touch on some corners and running backs, maybe a couple more receivers. I know Foots would love to, check out some of those guys. Y'all hold it down for the Doski Woski. The Peasky Whiskey is free. Foots, please take any of this content, upload it to your channel, do what you got to do, man. Peace, y'all.